Let's get down to business. I'm your host Youssef, and these are 10 scary interrogation room stories the police tried to hide. Make sure you subscribe and ring that bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Anyways, let's do it. Number 10, the CIA mastermind. The career of Dr. James Mitchell is the kind that is the subject of films. In the Air Force when he joined in 1974, he honed his explosive diffusing skills. He worked with a North Carolina Special Operations Unit as a psychologist towards the end of his time in the military. The big attack on America in 2001 and his retirement happened almost exactly at the same time. He then teamed up with Dr. Bruce Jessen, ex-military psychologist, to market their knowledge to the CIA. Despite their inexperience, the two made millions. Neither could even speak Arabic, let alone conduct serious interrogations. Mitchell was the brainchild behind the CIA's Enhanced Interrogation Program, a cover for clear-cut torture that has now come to light. They used restraint, hurling people against walls, sleep deprivation, and possibly most infamously, waterboarding. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was waterboarded by Mitchell himself, and while under duress, he confessed to a number of acts that were ultimately found to be fraudulent confessions by legal experts. Number 9, the Reid Technique. Using techniques like the Reid Technique, developed by John Reid in the 1950s and taught by John E. Reid and Associates Incorporated, an official interrogation is meticulous and methodical. It disarms subjects using 9 steps. The interrogator talks in monotone as though the suspect is guilty. The trick's baited comments induce the accused to confess to the crime. Although the method is still often taught, many people notice significant problems. Its emphasis on body language is one of its main weaknesses. For instance, step 6 instructs the questioner to watch out for physical signs of surrender, because tears at this stage positively indicate the suspect's guilt. The link between fear and lying is at best shaky. Whereas a cold-blooded psychopath can concoct a homicidal web of falsehoods without batting an eye, an honest man imprisoned in a police station is likely to display suspicious behavior when challenged. Number 8, walked in, wheeled out. Ersin Okta, an Indonesian businessman, was summoned to a Citibank branch in Jakarta on March 29, 2011, to talk about the 5,700 balance on his platinum card. Okta was taken to a room where debtors were interrogated, where he was confronted by 3 debt collectors: Arif Lukman, Henry Waslington, and Donald Harris. Although Indonesian banks have a reputation for harassing creditors, what happened to Okta is incomprehensible. He may be seen entering the questioning room, which lacked its own cameras, in security footage. He is seen being wheeled out of the room more than 2 hours later, possibly already gone from this world. Given that there were inconsistent reports from one medical examiner, the bank may have tried to conceal the crime. After examining the body, several medical professionals determined that the deceased passed away from asphyxiation and blunt force brain hemorrhage. For their part in Okta's removal, the 3 debt collectors received a 5-year prison term. Number 7, the FBI fights dirty. In accordance with the Lyndon B. Johnson signed Freedom of Information Act, the government frequently makes previously secret intelligence available to the general public. These reports have numerous black boxes that obscure names and other information. Many of these documents are about tiresome bureaucratic processes, but there are some intriguing bits, like FBI files on famous people. The FBI's internal rules are among the sought-after materials. For years, the American Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU, has been attempting to obtain this information. The FBI published a censored version of its interrogation techniques in 2011. Unexpectedly, it was found that the US Copyright Office has made this information available without any redactions. A senior FBI official registered the paperwork for copyright for some reason, making it accessible to the public. This suggests that illegal activities that take place much outside the bounds of the law. The FBI employs the aforementioned Reid approach, which is further supported by the unedited report.
At number 6 spot, we have the West Mesa murders. The West Mesa murders is a case that shook Albuquerque, New Mexico in 2009 when the remains of 11 women were discovered buried in the desert on the West Mesa. The women were buried between 2001 and 2005 by an unknown assailant in an underdeveloped area within the city limits. The area was under development in 2006, and soon after, the site was disturbed, buried, and platted for residential development. However, due to the 2008 housing bubble collapse, development on the West Mesa halted before housing could be built at the burial sites. Then, after neighbors complained of flooding at the plated site, the developer built a retaining wall that inadvertently exposed the bones of these people. The discovery of the remains occurred when a woman walking her dog found a human bone on the West Mesa and then reported it to police. In the hump of our list, we have Arnoldo Jimenez. Arnoldo Jimenez, a man from Illinois, has been added to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list for allegedly murdering his wife less than 24 hours after their wedding. Pretty harsh. Jimenez is accused of stabbing his wife until she passed in his Maserati before dragging her body into the bathtub of her apartment in Burbank, Illinois. He was charged with first-degree murder, and a state warrant was issued for his arrest in 2012. A federal arrest warrant was also issued after Jimenez was charged federally with an unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. Jimenez's addition to the list highlights the severity of this crime and the FBI's commitment to finally bring him to justice, but as of now, he's still out there. Number 4, the Khobar Tower perpetrators. In 1996, 19 US Air Force personnel lost their lives in a bombing that occurred in Saudi Arabia at the Khobar Towers. The FBI believes that the attack was carried out by a group known as Hezbollah. And we're not talking about Hezbollah. Take that out of your mind. Despite several suspects being named, none have been caught, and the FBI believes that at least 4 individuals were involved in planning and carrying out the attack. These individuals are believed to have been the members of the Saudi Arabia Hezbollah organization and may have ties to Iran. Number 3, Jason Derek Brown. Jason Derek Brown is a notorious American fugitive who has been on the run for over a decade. The FBI placed him on their 10 most wanted list on December 8, 2007, making him the 489th fugitive to be listed. Despite numerous efforts to capture him, Brown has managed to evade authorities and still remains at large to this day. Number 2, the Oakland County criminal. The Oakland County criminal was a terrible person that plagued the community of Oakland County for decades. Then in 2012, investigators were able to create a DNA profile of this killer, and it led the chase to a convicted criminal named Arch Edward Sloan, who assaulted a 10-year-old boy back in 1983. However, when he was brought into more testing, he ended up failing the polygraph test about the murders. But regardless, he is still serving a life sentence, so don't worry. Number 1, Victor Manuel Gerena. Victor Manuel Gerena is an American fugitive wanted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation for the September 1983 White Eagle armed robbery. This man stole $7 million in cash, and at the time, it was the largest cash robbery in the US history. On May 14, 1983, Gerena became the 386th fugitive to be placed on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list. He remains at large, and on April 11, 2010, became the fugitive to have spent the most time on this list, surpassing Donald Eugene Webb.
Thanks for watching. Those were 10 scary interrogation room stories the police tried to hide. Leave a like and comment if you think we missed anything, and we hope you have a scary day.